Hello and welcome to Henry's Sound Bites, the podcast designed to help you improve your listening skills and expand your vocabulary, all while exploring fascinating stories from around the world. I'm your host, Henry, and today we're going on an incredible journey from a simple walk in the woods to a worldwide invention that changed how we fasten things together. Get ready to dive deep into the story of Velcro. Have you ever thought about where new ideas come from? Sometimes they come from very unexpected places. Sometimes the best inventions are inspired by nature itself. Our story begins in the beautiful mountains of Switzerland in 1941 with a man named Georges de Mestral. Georges de Mestral was a Swiss engineer. Now, what does an engineer do? Well, an engineer is someone who designs and builds things, like machines, roads, or bridges. George was a smart, curious person, always observing the world around him. He loved nature, and one of his favorite hobbies was hiking in the Swiss countryside with his dog. Imagine beautiful green mountains, fresh air, and peaceful walking paths. That was George's happy place. One beautiful autumn day, George and his dog were enjoying their usual walk. The air was crisp, the leaves were changing color, and everything seemed perfect. After a long and enjoyable hike, they returned home. As George was taking off his hiking clothes, he noticed something. His pants, his jacket, and especially his dog's fur were covered in small, prickly burrs. You know these burrs, right? They are small, round seed pods from plants that have little hooks or spines on them. They stick to everything. Now, for most of us, finding burrs on our clothes or our pet's fur is just annoying. We might sigh, maybe complain a little, and then start picking them off, one by one. It can be a tedious job, but Georges de Mestral was not like most people. He had the mind of an inventor, a scientist. Instead of just being annoyed, he became fascinated. He didn't just want to remove the burrs. He wanted to understand why they stuck so well. His curiosity was truly awakened. He thought, how do these tiny natural things hold on so tightly? He couldn't shake the question from his mind. So George decided to take some of these burrs and examine them more closely. This was a crucial moment, a moment when a simple observation led to a big idea. George brought the burrs into his laboratory. A laboratory is a special room where scientists do experiments and research. He placed a burr under his microscope. A microscope is a powerful tool that makes very small things look much bigger, allowing us to see details we can't see with our eyes alone. What George saw under the microscope was truly amazing. It was a revelation. Each tiny burr was not smooth. Instead, it was covered with hundreds, even thousands of tiny, flexible hooks. These weren't sharp, dangerous hooks, but very small, resilient, and effective ones. And when he looked at the fibers of his clothes and his dog's fur, he saw that they were made of many tiny loops. It was a perfect natural system. The tiny hooks on the burrs were perfectly designed to catch and hold on to the tiny loops in the fabric of his clothes and in his dog's fur. This explained why they stuck so strongly. It wasn't just friction. It was an intricate mechanical interlocking system. Nature had created an incredibly effective fastening system designed for seed dispersal, helping the plant spread its seeds by hitching a ride on passing animals. George immediately recognized the potential of this discovery. He thought, if nature can do this, why can't humans? He began to imagine a new type of fastener, a fastener that would imitate or copy the clever design of the burr. This idea of copying nature's designs is called biomimicry. It's a field where scientists and engineers look to nature for solutions to human problems. He envisioned a material that could attach and detach easily, yet remain firm and secure when needed. He pictured a fastener that could be opened and closed thousands of times without losing its strength. This was a very ambitious goal. However, turning an idea inspired by nature into a usable, manufactured product is much harder than it sounds. Georges de Mestral faced many challenges, many obstacles. This was not a quick or easy process. It took years of hard work, experimentation, and perseverance. First, he needed to find the right materials. He tried various fabrics, different types of threads, but none of them had the strength or the exact properties he needed. He needed a material that would be rigid enough to form and hold the shape of the hooks, but also flexible enough to bend and move without breaking. Furthermore, the material had to be durable. Durable means strong and long-lasting, able to withstand repeated use, washing, and changes in temperature. Imagine, he was trying to create tiny hooks and loops that would work perfectly together, just like the burr and the fur. He tried cotton, he tried wool, he tried different synthetic fibers that were available at the time. Each test brought him closer, but also showed him how far he still had to go. George spent many years experimenting. He tried different types of yarn, different weaving methods, and different cutting techniques. His family and friends probably thought he was a little crazy, spending so much time focused on these tiny burrs and fibers. They might have asked, "George, what are you doing? Why are you spending all your time on this?" But George was persistent. He believed in his idea. He knew there was something truly special and revolutionary there. He had a vision, and he wasn't going to give up. One of the biggest breakthroughs came when he consulted a weaver in Lyon, France, a city famous for its textile industry. He asked the weaver for help in creating the specific type of fabric he needed. The weaver suggested using nylon. Nylon was a relatively new synthetic fiber at the time, developed in the late 1930s. It was known for its strength, durability, and resilience. George realized that nylon had the perfect properties for his invention. He found that by weaving nylon in a particular way and then cutting the loops in specific places, he could create the tiny, strong hooks he needed. And by using uncut nylon loops, he could create the corresponding soft, fuzzy loops that the hooks would attach to. This was a major breakthrough. George had successfully created a synthetic hook and loop system that mimicked nature's design. It was strong, reliable, and could be opened and closed many times. He had taken a simple observation from his dog's fur and through years of dedicated work, turned it into a tangible, useful product. He finally had his fastener. He named his invention Velcro. The name itself is clever. It's a combination of two French words, velours, which means velvet referring to the soft loop side, and crochet, which means hook, referring to the hook side. So Velcro literally means velvet hook, a perfect name for a perfect invention. With a new name and a working prototype, Georges de Mestral was ready to introduce his invention to the world. You might think that everyone would immediately see its genius and want to use it. But you would be wrong. At first, people were not very impressed. In fact, many were skeptical. Skeptical means doubtful, not easily convinced. Velcro looked strange. It didn't look like any other fastener they had ever seen. People were used to buttons, zippers, buckles, and shoelaces. This new hook and loop system seemed unusual, maybe even a little silly to some. Many manufacturers, when George tried to show them his invention, said no. They couldn't see the potential. They didn't understand how it could be useful. Some people even laughed at him. Can you imagine that? Laughing at an invention that we now use almost every single day in so many different ways. It's hard to believe now, but it's true. George faced a lot of doubt, rejection, and even ridicule. Ridicule means making fun of someone or something. But he didn't give up. He had spent years developing Velcro, and he knew in his heart that he had created a fantastic practical product. He was determined to prove it to everyone. This is a common theme in the stories of inventors. They often face resistance before their ideas are accepted. His persistence finally paid off. Slowly but surely, in the late 1950s and early 1960s, Velcro began to gain attention. People started to realize its many benefits. It was easy to use, especially for people with limited hand mobility. It was quick. It was reliable. One of its first and most important applications was in the clothing industry. Imagine replacing dozens of buttons on a coat or a complicated zipper on a child's garment with a simple strip of Velcro. It was a revolution in how clothes were designed and worn. It made dressing simpler and faster, especially for children's clothing, where parents appreciated the ease and speed. Another significant milestone for Velcro was when the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, started to use it. This was a huge endorsement. Endorsement means official approval or support. NASA, the world's leading space agency, saw the value of Velcro. Astronauts in space needed a way to keep things securely fastened in a zero-gravity environment. In space, there's no gravity to hold things down, so everything floats around. Imagine trying to eat your dinner and your spoon just floats away, or trying to write and your pen keeps drifting off. Velcro was the perfect solution. It was reliable, easy to use even with bulky gloves, and kept everything, from pencils to important equipment, firmly in place on the walls of the spacecraft. When NASA started using Velcro, it brought worldwide attention to the product. It gave Velcro credibility. People everywhere began to realize that Velcro wasn't just a strange new fastener. It was a revolutionary fastening system that could change how we live and work. Its association with space travel gave it a high-tech, futuristic image. Today, Velcro is found everywhere. It's truly ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means present, appearing, or found everywhere. Just look around you right now. You might see it on your shoes, your backpack, your jacket, sports equipment, and even inside cars and homes. It's used in hospitals to secure bandages and equipment, in the military for uniforms and gear, and in thousands of other products and applications. Let's think about some specific examples. The list goes on and on. Velcro has become an essential part of our daily lives, so common that we often don't even notice it's there, quietly doing its job. The story of George de Mestral is a powerful reminder that great ideas can come from anywhere. It's not always a complex experiment in a high-tech lab. Sometimes it's a simple observation of the natural world around us. He saw something that others considered a mere nuisance, those annoying burrs, and he transformed it into a world-changing invention. His invention is also a testament to the power of perseverance. A testament means proof or evidence. George faced skepticism, ridicule, and rejection, but he never lost faith in his idea. He continued to work, to experiment, to refine and improve until he finally succeeded. He was driven by his curiosity and his belief in his vision. This story teaches us a few valuable lessons. Observe the world around you. Pay attention to small details, even things that seem ordinary or annoying. You never know what great idea might be hidden there. Embrace curiosity. Don't just accept things as they are. Ask why and how. This is the beginning of all discovery. Be persistent. When you believe in an idea, don't give up easily. There will be challenges and setbacks, but continued effort can lead to success. Learn from nature. Nature has spent millions of years perfecting designs. We can learn so much by studying its elegant and efficient solutions. So, the next time you're out for a walk and a burr attaches itself to your clothing, take a moment to remember George de Mestral. Remember that sometimes the smallest problems or the most minor annoyances can hold the seeds of a huge idea. All it takes is a little curiosity, an unyielding spirit, and a willingness to look at the world just a little bit differently. And that brings us to the end of our in-depth and fascinating story about Velcro. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the origins and widespread impact of this amazing invention, and that you've found this extensive listening practice valuable for your B2 English skills. Remember, consistent practice is key to improving your English. Thank you for joining me on English for Everyone. I'm your host name, and I look forward to bringing you another exciting story in our next episode. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep being curious. Goodbye.